Part B. In this part of the test, you'll hear 6 different extracts. In each extract, you'll hear people talking in a different healthcare setting. For questions 25 to 30, choose the answer A, B, or C, which fits best according to what you hear. You'll have time to read each question before you listen. Complete your answers as you listen. Now look at question 25. You hear a dentist talking to a patient about dental implants. Now read the question.
If you go for the implant rather than the bridge, you're looking at 3 to 4 months from start to finish.
Oh, right. Just to fix one tooth? How come?
Well, there are lots of different steps to go through, and we need to allow a certain amount of time between each one for healing and so on.
What sort of things are you going to be doing then?
A stent, a CT scan, then there's fixing the implant, removing stitches, taking impressions.
Stitches? Ouch. It's starting to sound a whole lot more serious than I bargained for. Couldn't you cut back on the appointments and get more done in each one? I'm worried I'm not going to be able to fit all this in, what with work and family and everything else.
Well, what I've described is all pretty standard, actually.
Right.
Question 26. You hear a senior hospital nurse briefing ward staff about patient safety. Now read the question.
I want you to imagine a scenario. An elderly patient falls out of bed and fractures his elbow. His daughter's going to have to move in with him post-discharge, and she's not exactly happy. It's just the sort of situation we need to avoid. So, how did it happen? Basically, what happened was, although he was a fool's risk, the patient's bed rails were left down one night. It was nobody's fault, really. Everyone was run off their feet with new admissions and crises to deal with, and in the heat of the moment it just got missed. But what this story does show is how crucial it is, especially when we're under pressure, to watch each other's backs and check we're on top of everything. And if you notice that something's been missed, you need to point it out or put it right. We're all equally responsible for avoiding oversights like this, because they can cause great distress.
Question 27. You hear a physiotherapist talking to a patient with a torn ligament. Now read the question.
So, how are you managing day to day?
Okay, most of the time. I work on the tills in a supermarket, so I'm not on my feet or doing much lifting, but I'm still struggling a bit. I normally go to work by bus, but if I work the late shift there aren't any, so I have to go home on foot. That's when I really feel it. I live right up in the top part of town, so it's quite a pull. I just don't have the strength and I'm in agony.
And do you do much physical activity apart from that?
No, not really. I live with my elderly mum and look after us both. It's quite a lot of work, actually. I'm mainly just making dinner and putting the washing on. I don't do stuff like gardening because my knee just isn't up to it.
Question 28. You hear 2 community nurses talking about a patient in their care. Now read the question.
I'm a bit worried about Mrs. Marshall. Yesterday when I was there, her husband mentioned that she didn't seem herself. He said she was a bit distant and not as cheerful as usual. And this morning, weirdly, she didn't want me to take her to the bathroom. She said she didn't need to go. And Mr. Marshall said she hadn't got up to go in the night at all. Did she seem all right to you when you saw her this afternoon?
Well, now I come to think of it, she did seem a bit clammy and grey, but I didn't really get time to talk to her properly.
We probably ought to ask for her to be checked over thoroughly, just in case she's going down with another UTI. We don't want a repeat of last time, after her varicose vein surgery.
You're right. Let's suggest that in the handover meeting.
Question 29. You hear a dietitian talking to a new member of his team. Now read the question.
You'll find that we get a lot of referrals for patients who struggle with a very high BMI and need to get it under control before undergoing a procedure, so it's crucial that we get them on board.
Yes, of course.
We try to make sure they really understand why they're on the program and how much it increases success rates in the operating room. That can be a really strong incentive. Then we look at their diet very carefully and teach them how to swap certain foods for others that contain fewer calories and have a higher nutritional value.
Okay.
And, of course, that includes drinks too. Offering continuous and positive support's a big part of what we do. We always chase them up in a non-judgmental and sensitive way if they lapse or miss an appointment.
Question 30. You hear two hospital nurses talking about a patient. Now read the question.
I've just heard Mr. Paul in bed 3 being really rude to the patient in the next bed.
Honestly, he shouted at the occupational therapist yesterday for talking too loud. He's desperate to go home and hates the noise and the way everyone can hear each other's business on this ward. He keeps asking whether he can move to one with individual bays, but there's nothing available, I'm afraid.
No. Maybe we could move him to the window end and put the screen up on the other side. Actually, perhaps not, because then we wouldn't be able to see or hear what's going on so easily.
No, we wouldn't. We need to keep an eye on him. But the screen sounds like a good idea. We can't have him upsetting everyone, and he'll be with us for a few more days yet.
That is the end of Part B. Now look at Part C.